Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. When a man texts you these three little words, he's not just making small talk. He's giving you a peek into his heart. Now, you know how men are. We ain't the most expressive creatures on earth. We ain't out here writing love poems, lighting candles, or sending you long messages about how we feel. That's not our lane. But when a man finds a woman he truly cares about, something in him shifts. A man's words reveal his emotions more than his actions sometimes, but only if you know how to read them. See, ladies, a lot of women out here think that men don't express feelings. They think we're just hard-headed, stone-faced creatures that don't care or don't feel anything. But the truth is, most men were raised to hide emotion, not to show it. We were told, be strong, don't cry, don't talk about how you feel. So what happens? We learn to speak love in different ways through consistency, protection, effort, and yes, even through the words we text. The thing is, if you're not tuned in, you'll miss it. You'll see a man saying something small like, "You good?" and think it's nothing. But that might be his way of saying, "I'm thinking about you, I'm checking in on you, you matter to me." Every word a man says has layers if you pay attention. Because when a man starts caring about you, he starts watching his words. He starts trying to communicate, even if he doesn't always get it right. When a man is emotionally invested, he starts revealing little pieces of his heart without realizing it. And that's when you'll see him say things that carry meaning, things that go beyond surface conversation. You might think it's just casual, but when a man chooses his words carefully, it's because he's trying to say something he doesn't yet have the courage to spell out directly. A lot of women expect a man to be romantic, to come out and say, "I love you," right away. But for most men, that's not how it works. We don't lead with deep confessions. We drop hints. We show consistency. We send messages that seem simple, but they carry emotion. So when you read a man's text, don't just look at what's on the screen. Look at the tone, the timing, and the feeling behind it. A man's words can tell you everything if you know how to listen. Sometimes the sweetest words don't come wrapped in poetry. They come through small gestures that feel ordinary but are actually full of meaning. Like when he says, "Text me when you get home," that's not just about safety. That's care. When he says, "You ate," that's not random. That's concern. Those are the small emotional expressions that tell you a man is attached to you. But the key is you have to listen with your heart, not your habits. Too many women dismiss these words as casual, not realizing that men communicate love differently. So yes, a man's words reveal his emotions, but only if you know how to read them. He might not tell you everything directly, but if you slow down and pay attention, you'll start to see the pattern. His tone softens. His messages get longer. His consistency increases. That's the man trying to let you in, trying to show you what his heart feels, but his pride won't say. When he sends those three little words, it's not just a message, it's an emotional signature. because every time he says something that makes you feel seen, cared for, or protected, that's his version of saying, you mean something to me. Real men don't waste time texting things they don't mean. If he says something consistently, it's a clue to his heart. See, when a man is genuinely into you, his words start to carry weight. Men don't sit around texting a woman just for the sake of conversation. That's not how we're wired. If he's taking time out of his day to message you, to check in, to respond quickly, that's intention. That's investment. Every good morning, every you okay, every I miss you, it's not random. It's him showing up again and again because you've earned a space in his world. Men are creatures of purpose. We don't chase what doesn't matter. So when he's consistent, that means you've hit something deeper than attraction. You've touched his heart. Now, a lot of women get confused when they see a man texting all the time. They start wondering, he just being nice? Is he bored? But you got to understand something. A real man doesn't operate on boredom. When he's not interested, his communication fades fast. He'll get short, dry, and distant. But when a man truly feels something for you, he'll find a way to stay connected. Even if he's tired, even if he's busy, he'll still send that message because you crossed his mind. That's not routine. That's care disguised as effort. It's him saying, I can't go too long without hearing from you. You can tell a man's seriousness by his consistency. Words without consistency are empty. But when his messages start to line up with his actions, when he says he'll call and he actually does, when he checks on you without being asked, when he remembers things you said, that's when you know it's real, because men don't invest energy into something they don't value. If he's repeating certain phrases, if he's texting you every morning, every night, or checking up on how your day went, that's not a script. That's habit built on emotion. A man who truly cares doesn't need to use fancy words or romantic speeches. His words might be simple, but they're consistent. You might notice he says, I got you, often. Or maybe he's always saying, be safe, take care, or I'm proud of you. Those aren't just random phrases. Those are emotional signals. That's how men communicate love without saying, I love you. Because for a man, saying the same thing over and over isn't repetition, it's reassurance. It's his way of reminding you, I'm still here, I still care, I still choose you. So when a man is consistent in his words, take note. It means his emotions are steady, his intentions are real, and his heart is already involved. His texts aren't about filling silence. They're about keeping connection. He may not spell out every feeling, but his consistency will tell you everything you need to know. When he keeps showing up, saying those same things again and again, it's not habit, it's love speaking through repetition. When a man is emotionally invested, he'll show it through communication. Those 3 words are not random. A man doesn't open up easily. He's built with pride, logic, and a little bit of fear when it comes to being vulnerable. But once his emotions get involved, everything changes. His tone softens, his guard drops, and suddenly communication becomes his safe way to express what's inside. You'll notice it in the way he talks, the time he chooses to reach out, and the kind of words he uses. Men aren't always great with emotions, but communication becomes their bridge. So when a man starts texting you those meaningful 3 words, the ones that sound simple but carry emotion, that's him revealing more than you think. He may not say, "I love you," right away, but you'll feel it in every "I miss you," "I got you," or "come here." Those aren't random messages. Those are emotional markers that show how deep he's falling. When a man's feelings grow stronger, he starts to crave connection. He wants to feel heard, understood, and close to you. That's when his communication starts to change. He's not just texting because he's bored. He's texting because you're part of his daily routine now. He'll start telling you about his day, sharing details he doesn't share with anyone else, or asking questions that show genuine interest. That's emotional investment showing through words. A man who doesn't care won't go that deep. He'll keep it surface level, short, and impersonal. But when he's truly feeling something, he starts talking like a man who wants you to know him, not just like him. Those 3 words he sends you carry a deeper intention. When he says, "I miss you," it means your absence has created a space he can't ignore. When he says, "I got you," it means he's ready to be dependable, not just romantic. And when he says, "Come here," it means he's inviting you into his world physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Communication becomes his love language. Even if he doesn't realize it, those messages are his way of expressing emotion in the only language he's fully comfortable using. Action through words. A man's texting pattern tells you everything. You'll notice how his responses become faster, how he remembers the little things you tell him, how he checks in even without reason. That's not coincidence. That's emotional consistency. He's not just keeping a conversation going, he's building a connection. And it's not just about what he says, it's how he says it. His tone changes. He becomes more thoughtful, softer, maybe even a little more open than usual. That's not a slip. That's his heart trying to talk. So when a man is emotionally invested, his communication becomes a reflection of his feelings. Every word, every message, every 3 words he sends carries intent. It's his way of saying you matter without directly saying it. His phone becomes his heart's translator, and if you read between the lines, you'll realize those messages aren't just casual. They're emotional fingerprints left by a man who's slowly falling for you. Women often miss the meaning behind small gestures, especially in text messages. Sometimes a man's message doesn't look romantic at all, but it carries more emotion than a whole love letter. The truth is, men communicate differently. They're not always going to use flowery words or poetic lines. They express care in practical ways, and most of the time, it's subtle. When a man texts you, "Did you make it home safe?" or "Did you eat?" or Don't forget your meeting. It may seem like ordinary talk, but it's actually love in disguise. That's a man's way of saying, I'm thinking about you. I care about your well-being, but because women often expect grand gestures or deep emotional confessions, those little messages get overlooked. They think, oh, he's just being polite. No, baby, he's showing you he's paying attention. Men are not naturally verbal about feelings. They show affection through action, through consistency, and through presence. That's why when he texts you small things that seem random, you need to pay attention to the pattern. He's not sending those texts to everybody. He's sending them to you because you matter. The smallest gesture can reveal the biggest feeling if you know how to read between the lines. A woman who understands that will never miss the moment when a man starts to fall in love. But a woman who's only looking for dramatic words might miss a man who's quietly showing her devotion one text at a time. For example, when a man asks, "How was your day?" it's not just a casual question. It's him trying to connect with your world. He's giving you a space to share yourself, to let him in. When he remembers something you told him days ago and brings it up later, that's emotional attentiveness. That's not small, that's powerful. It means you're on his mind. When he checks on you at the end of the day or reminds you to rest, that's care, not convenience. The things that seem small are often the clearest signs of real emotional connection. Many women miss out on good men because they misinterpret those simple gestures. They think love should look like long paragraphs or endless compliments, but sometimes love looks like drive safe. Sometimes it sounds like text me when you're home. Sometimes it's as simple as you good. The man may not be saying, I love you, but he's showing it in his own language. A man's way of caring isn't always loud, it's steady. It's not always obvious, it's consistent. You just have to slow down enough to notice. So when a man texts you those little things, don't brush them off. Don't think he's just being friendly. He's doing what men do best, expressing emotion through protection, attention, and small but meaningful effort. Those messages may be short, but they're full of feeling. They're his way of saying, you matter to me, even when he doesn't spell it out. When a man is serious, his tone changes. His messages will carry intent, care, and consistency. You can feel it when a man shifts from casual to committed, even through something as simple as a text. At first, he might talk to you like he talks to everyone else. Quick replies, funny jokes, a little flirting here and there. But the moment he starts to feel something deeper, his tone changes. It becomes warmer, more thoughtful, and more personal. He stops just replying to what you say and starts initiating the conversation himself. That's a man saying without words, you're important to me. When he starts caring about how your day went, or when he takes time to listen to your emotions instead of just talking about his, that's a real shift. You can tell he's serious because he communicates with consistency, not just convenience. A man's tone tells you everything about his level of interest. If he's dry, short, and unbothered, his heart's not in it. But when